Hey, good morning. We're going to spend the next few minutes with a short tutorial on how to flush a printer out for either long-term shutdown, 3 to 6 months or more, or for changing ink base from like an MEK to an acetone or an alcohol base. So really there should be two procedures for this. The first one for just flushing a printer out and leaving it for 3 to 6 months, and then which is a little less of a procedure than actually changing an ink base. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this video to show you both so that you know how to do both and get the job done. So let me move on to the tools you need. So the tools you're going to need for this job are a wash bottle with the right solvent in for your machine, 2 cups or 2 beakers, 5/8 wrench, tube cutter, a T10 Torx wrench, small Phillips screwdriver, your latex gloves and safety glasses, some cloth, 4 quart bottles of cleaner, MEK or acetone depending on what your machine is, and a 5-liter bucket and your working platform. So the first job is to turn the printer around so that we can get at the back of it. Okay, I've already taken the back cover off. I'll lay the print head out of the way for this first part. So what we're going to have to do is to flush the machine out, we're going to obviously have to take the filter out. There's no point in flushing a printer when there's a filter here. That would take forever. So we're going to have to take the main filter out. We're going to bypass that. We're going to take the smart fill cups out to give us a bit more room. And then what we're going to do is drain. We're going to take the ink tank and the makeup tank out, drain them out, clean them, put them to one side. We don't need those for this this procedure. So we can manually empty the ink tank and manually empty the makeup tank. So first procedure is to take out the smart fill cups. So I'm going to take the covers off, and then with a small bladed Phillips screwdriver, we're just going to remove the 3 screws per cup. Then lift out each cup and lay across the front. Do the same with the makeup tank. Take the 3 screws out and then lift out the cup and then lay it across the front. So now when we've lifted that across there, we've now got pretty good access in the printer. So we need to now take the take out the main filter. So to remove the main filter, we're going to need a 5/8 wrench, a beaker, and my little working platform. I'm going to slide that under, put the beaker on, and now I'm going to release the top 5/8 screw. And again, be careful, you're going to have maybe ink flick from this tube when you remove it, and then just put this up out of the way. And now we can actually release the filter and then turn it upside down in the beaker, and then remove the bottom 5/8 nut off the end. Okay, now we can put that filter to one side, let it drain out, and then dispose of it. So now the filter is out of the way, we can go ahead now and slide out the makeup tank. put it onto our platform. We can remove the float switch. Put that down out of the way. We can remove the pickup tube. Put that down out of the way. And now we need to actually remove the 2 screws that hold the viscometer on. And that's going to be a number 10 Torx wrench. So now with the T10 Torx wrench, I'm just going to remove these 2 screws, the self-threading screws. So that's the makeup tank now that is separate. We can lift that out of the way and drain it. And then this is your viscometer that's now loose, so that we can actually get at it to watch that it's cleaning inside. So the next part is with a beaker. We're going to do the same with the ink tank. I'll just get this out of the way here. So with the ink tank, I'm going to lift out. And I'm looking at taking out the Venturi. And then the returns from the viscometer, the brown and the gray. Put those into the beaker. And then the main pickup can also come out, and the float switch. Okay, now we can take the ink tank and drain that out carefully too. So once these parts are out, we can go ahead and just clean them down. Get all of the ink off of them. And they clean down pretty easily. That's the float switch clean. Now I'm going to do the viscometer returns and the Venturi. So once these are clean, we can leave those in the beaker. So now with a separate beaker, we're going to put the ink pickup with the pre-pump filter into some cleaner. If you don't have a beaker, then just an old quart bottle cut down is plenty good enough. I'm going to stand that in there. So now that we've got the main pickup coming into cleaner, coming through the pump, we're going to be reconnecting this tube here that went into the main filter, and we're actually going to put that into the Venturi here. So take off the tube that's on the Venturi already that went to the bottom part of the filter. Put that to one side, and now this tube now will plug directly into the Venturi. Like that. So just to run through this again, we've got the pickup from the ink with the pre-pump filter in a container that we're going to add cleaner. It comes into the pump, it cleans the pump out, comes down into the Venturi, bypassing the main filter. That's in the beaker. As well in the beaker, we have the brown and the gray from the ink tank that ultimately come from the viscometer. And then we have also the makeup pickup also in this beaker. So now we're ready to add cleaner into the beaker and play around with some switches and for the solenoids and start cleaning out the system. So at this point we can power on the printer. Okay, so once the printer is booted up, I'm going to go into the service button and then go into fluidic, which brings up the page of the solenoid valves, and I am looking to enable V1, which is your print head. I'm going to enable V3, which is the bleed, and I'm going to enable V4, which is the gutter, and V5, which is the viscometer. So once I've cleaned the Venturi, the two pickups and the makeup, I'm going to lay them on the edge of a bucket, just a simple 5-gallon pail from Home Depot or Lowe's, works just fine. And then what I can do now is start to fill up the container with cleaner. So I'm going to fill the pickup container up with cleaner, and then I'm going to go ahead and start the pump at around about 10 RPS. And you're going to be flushing this through for around about 2 minutes. So as you see the level of that cleaner drop down, just keep on replenishing it. And you'll see gradually all of the tubes becoming clear as the ink is forced out. So just keep running it through, topping it up. And you can see now the tubes are starting to clear out. So now you can see the two tubes that go to the viscometer are clearing, and the actual viscometer is cleaning out inside. So the next part, we're going to take the brown pickup. It's got the brown heat shrink on there, and we're just going to block the end. Then you'll see what happens is it will start cleaning the return from the viscometer too now. Do this for probably around about 30 seconds. You start seeing that tube coming through a little clearer. You can release. So now, after doing that for 30 seconds, if you look now at the viscometer tube, you can see it's all clear. So it's cleaned the viscometer. Then the last part, we're going to change the valves. We're going to change to V2 flush, V3 bleed, V6 tank makeup, and V7 add makeup. And then we're going to start the pump again and run it at around about 10 RPS. And again, just keep on topping that cleaner up as it runs out. Try not to run the pump with nothing in it. And then also try not to get cleaner on any of these insulated cables. Then you can run this for about a minute in this position. So that's everything flushed apart from the print head. So now we're going to change the active valves to just V4, which is the return gunner. So we can turn all of these other valves off, and then we're just going to do V4, the gunner. And now what we're going to do is flush that gunner return in the print head. So I'm going to lay the print head on the bucket, and again start the pump up at around about 10 RPS. And what I'm going to do now is just spray the gutter for around about 30 seconds pointing the nozzle in the gutter return. You'll see the fluid coming back up the return here. And this is going to be cleaning out the red line in the system. As you can see it going around now. Okay, so now that everything's flushed out, we've cleaned the ink tank, we can put our working platform back in, bring up the ink tank, and we're going to connect the main Venturi in place, and then the brown goes into the next one. Now these are pretty tight to get in, so remember the trick about spraying some solvent down inside of there before putting it in. It makes it go in a little easier. Then the grey, push that one in place too. Then the main pickup goes into the end here, and then we can actually slide in the float switches in place, and that goes in the end, and then this whole assembly now can slide in place where it was before. So now we're going to do the same for the makeup tank. But before we put the makeup tank in, we've got to put the viscometer on the side. So here's the makeup tank. I'm going to lift this up. And remember, this was with the T10 torque wrench. And the 2 self tappers. Don't over tighten these. Very easy to strip the threads on that plastic. So then we can put back in the main pickup tube. Slide that in. And the float switches for the makeup. Slide that in place. Once everything's in, we can slide that assembly back in place. So now we have a filter. Remember we, in the last tutorial, we talked about the flow of the ink and also the smart fill tag that needs to go up against the reader. Before I actually fit the filter, I'm just going to go ahead and trim up these ends with a tube cutter. Don't take too much off, but make a nice clean end so it makes a good seal. So once we've trimmed the ends of the tubes, we can go ahead and put this in the right direction from the pump. Comes up into the bottom of the filter and then out of the top. Make sure that's screwed up, and then into the Venturi. So it's like that. make sure that goes in properly. So once you have the main filter in place and you've connected the tubes from the pump into the bottom, and then the top of the filter goes into the Venturi, make sure that they're secured in with the 5/8 wrench, 2 turns past finger tight, and then make sure also the tag, the RFID tag, is facing the reader. Once that's all in place, you can go ahead and slide the 2 smart fill cups in place, fix those with the 3 screws in the top, and then you're ready to move on to the next section. So now that we've got everything cleaned out inside, we want to commission the new ink. So I'm going to go into sign in, and I'm going to put in the password GoTech. And now I'm going to go into the service and into tools, and then technician, and then up into smart fill. Then smart fill, you'll see commission ink type. Right now I'm commissioned for 510081. It's the fast dry black. I don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll through the different inks. What I want to find is the standard 51001 or 0001, which is right down the other end. There it is. So 51001-01, and the makeup is 52-0001-01. I'm going to commission system. So now while I'm in this screen, I'm going to do a read filter tag as well. And we have a success on that. It's filter 5,000 hours. So that started the filter change. So now we've done the filter. We've scanned the filter tag and got success on that, 5,000 hours. And we've commissioned the ink type to 51-0001-01. We can go ahead and load the makeup and the ink in the system. So take a bottle of makeup, keep the cap on, put that into the makeup cup, and I'm going to go ahead and hit that button, and we'll get a success on that. It says it's 52-001. I'm going to take the cap off and then fill that into the makeup tank. So now that's emptied in. Take out the empty bottle, dispose of that. Now I'm going to do the same now with the ink, and it's a 51-0001 ink. Put that in, hit the button, scan the tag, and it says, that's interesting, this says ink life is at maximum. This doesn't mean to say that the ink has run out, it's not expired. What it means is, because we had already emptied the ink tank that was full, there was a lot of ink in there, we'd already scanned tags, so the system remembers that. So we don't need to scan the tag on this, we just need to confirm that and then put the ink in. Once that's drained in, take out the empty bottle, dispose of it, and we can put the caps back in. And you'll see in a little bit the ink low will come up and it will be reading okay. So the final part of this is to go ahead and start the jet. Because we've done so much tubing work in the back, I don't want to just do the start jet. That's going to be putting a lot of pressure, 40 psi on all those connections, just in case we didn't get one back in the right place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into service, and I'm going to start the pump up in the fluidic screen. I'm going to start the pump up manually with all the valves off, and just make sure that there's no tubes that are popped off or leaking. So I'm going to go ahead and just increase this up a little bit to something like 6 RPS, 7 RPS. And then what we'll do is we'll see the filter start to fill up on the back here. So there's good connection on the back of the filter. Filter is just about filled up now. So we know the pre-pump filter's good, there's no leaks there. And it's gone over into the Venturi, so there's no leaks at the top of the filter, no leaks on the Venturi. And now it's gone into the viscometer, so no leaks on the viscometer. So I think we're ready to actually start the jet up fully. So I'm going to hit stop on here, and now I'm going to just go ahead and start the jet. From the home screen, we're going to go start jet, and it will count down from just over a minute. It'll start putting ink in everywhere else and down into the print head, into the return gutter. So now I can hear the return gutter taking the ink back in, so everything looks okay. And now we're ready to print. So a couple of things we can try. If we go into the service menu, we can look at the viscosity of the ink. It's going to be a little thick to start with, but it should equal out pretty quick. Once we've done that and the viscosity is where it should be, we can go ahead and just calibrate the modulation.